Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much.
And welcome everybody to Red Pill Nation Hangout number 316. I am your brave and I guess relatively fearless host, Naroki5. With me tonight, we got almost the usual crew coming in, but I will start out with the guy who gave all the permission for all the UFOs to start flying around for everybody to discover. Coming from his mothership, which is curiously enough sitting in downtown Calgary at the moment, Rearson.
Good day, evening, whatever time of day it is for you. I'm back, took a week off for some disappointing family meetup that didn't happen, and all the topics I could have missed last week was the one I should have jumped in on. Oh well, that's my loss, but we'll worry about that later. Yeah, I'm back for tonight and going forward. So let's have the no standards roll as soon as possible. Back to you.
All right, and hopefully these guys have gotten back from the bathroom and back now. Another regular person in the chair. V, introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, you guys know me, D, from the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. Yeah, just having a time here. I'm actually on hiatus right now, but I'm gonna hang with you guys. I'm not quitting radio entirely, doing shows entirely, but I figured it'd be fun to hang out with you guys.
Well, I think you'd like it's some very interesting topics tonight. And of course, coming to us from the Republic of South Korea, Jaffe.
That is indeed the case. Thanks for having me once again. Chief Communications Officer of the Robin Hood, flagship to the wider WPRPN.com People's Pirate Network. So Pirate Radio Podcast is the show that we typically put out between 2 to 3 times a week. And coming up this Friday night, we've got Dave Kelso out of Chicago, one of the heads of the PSEC group, Paradigm Shift Educational Comedy. He'll be in the the hot seat, I suppose. So looking forward to that. But yeah, let's get the show rolling here.
All right. For those of you who don't know, I am I'm not at YouTube. I'm not going back on YouTube. Just too many censorious rules. But I am, however, at BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, MGTOW TV. Occasionally post up at Viridion. I am kind of on the fence about Kick right now, and apparently you can video live feed on Twitter. And I'm also and in other news, I may experiment with a live stream on Rumble and actually pay to do it. But let me know. I'm actually going to wait until I'm gainfully employed. Speaking of which, by the way, I go in for orientation at 8:00 tomorrow morning. So hopefully we don't go very long tonight. I'm also at Facebook, Minds, Gab, MeWe, Getter, TLB Talk. I'm not on Reddit, but however, Reddit is going to be discussed tonight. In fact, this is the first topic up on the list. that is it for now. Well, I'm actually at communities.win, but not very many people use communities.win, and we will probably discuss that on topic number one. But that's pretty much where I am right now. For community news, I keep putting this off, and there's been a lot of stuff I've been putting off in the springtime because of my rather unstable employment situation. Like I say, however, I do start, at least I go in for orientation tomorrow on the new job since I left the old one. Not hurting for money, food in the fridge, food in my stomach, gas in the car, fuel and money in the bank. So I'm okay for right now.
I was gonna say, if you are wanting to travel, I am hiring an extra bodyguard. I need two for my road trip.
Well, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I've never done bodyguarding before, so that might be an interesting experience. Our topics tonight, and this is compared with what. Apologies to everybody. With everything going on in my life, I really haven't been able to give this show the tender, loving care that it has required over the past couple of months. Hopefully, now that my employment situation will have stabilized in a way where I'm not working a job where the people who I'm working for were quote unquote unprofessional a-holes. Hopefully this new job is not like that, but we'll see. Topics for tonight. So yeah, expect a whole bunch of posting coming up probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, I gotta start putting more time into this. For those of you who don't know, the topics for tonight are topic number one: Redditors on Reddit stage protest over Reddit's new business decision. That one was really interesting, and it's a trend I'm noticing with Silicon Valley. Topic number two: Call of Duty pushback over Nic Mercs causes MSM, specifically Rolling Stone magazine, to bring up the ghost of Gamergate. Topic number three: Amazon Alexa overhears racist remarks and shuts down man's house for the entire week. I'm just going to let, I think V might find this one particularly intriguing because the guy who apparently had the quote-unquote racist remark leveled at him, turns out he's actually an African American. Yeah. That was that. Yeah, that one was extra special. Topic number four: Pentagon Insider reveals the government does indeed have UFO craft in its possession. 5: Tucker Carlson ordered to cease Twitter show in demand letter. And topic number 6: we are going to. I'm leaving this so that Rearson can't run away. NDP Member of Parliament Joel Harden caught in fake Jussie Smollet-style face hate attack. Oh, that one is extra special. We're talking, I can't believe someone would be that stupid special. So without any other further ado, let's get into the first topic. And this one is really, really interesting. Reddit has been getting gradually worse and worse and worse and worse. Probably a lot of it has to do with the fact that there really has, other than 8chan, which I don't really get into because it's just I've got a fairly thick skin, but even for me, some of the stuff on 4chan and 8chan kind of I just never really got into it. There hasn't really been an effective, communities.win has sort of been able to fill in some of the gap, but not entirely. Reddit has been kind of fortunate. Unlike Facebook and YouTube, there hasn't been a viable alternative that has come online to Reddit. Vote tried to be that, and for a while they were. Unfortunately, they ended up becoming, because of the way Vote was set up, It ended up being like almost the polar opposite of Reddit, and you had far right lunatics like literally just running amok there, and a moderator that just absolutely refused to do anything about it. The same thing happened over at Poll. The problem with Poll is that while it wasn't quite as bad as Vote, you couldn't block anybody on Poll. And again, it got taken, and because of that, there were a few leftists that tried to get in there, but I mean, again, it got overrun by actual alt-right. Like, we're talking legit alt-right, far-right, white supremacist individual types of people. Ruckus came in and they made a decent attempt. Unfortunately, Ruckus went woke and then went broke. Communities.win is there, but it's just not, it hasn't quite taken off. So Reddit, to a certain degree, has been kind of fortunate, unlike Facebook and YouTube, who now have rivals nipping at their heels. In fact, in terms of what is going on with YouTube, YouTube has got some rather serious competition now, which is causing them to do things in an attempt to kind of corral the resources, which, by the way, is exact. I mean, the guy who runs Reddit, and I can't specifically remember his nickname is Spez. Spez is about the money. And the way Spez has operated Reddit is that he gave the power of moderation over to a quote-unquote voluntary group of Redditors who basically decided that they get to moderate the content however they want, which has meant that, if you're critical of these moderators who are working for free, you get banned. If you say anything, and some of these moderators are actual full-blown social justice NPC, wokesters, you'll get banned. There have been certain groups that have been literally run right out of Reddit. Spez, again, Reddit's been kind of lucky in the fact that there has been no challenger to it that's come out yet. Communities.win just has not really launched particularly well. What is coming back, though, I'm noticing is that, because of all the censorship that's going on inside the mainstream media, is that chat boards are starting to come back again. And we're talking about chat boards for specific groups. They've always been there. They never really went away. They just weren't used very much, but they're making a comeback now. But what Spez decided to do with Reddit is that there's a number of third-party apps that were attached to Reddit so that people could not give money or give clicks or not have to view any of the ads or any of the other additional BS that was attached to Reddit. And they were using them via third-party apps. Well, Spaz has decided that he is going to start charging these third-party apps cash to use Reddit and the third-party apps. Consequently, all of the third-party apps are now leaving Reddit, and probably about 8,000 moderators staged a 48-hour-long strike on Reddit, which, of course, Spez refused to even negotiate with them. Again, this is what happens when somebody is given unlimited power. And like I say, hold on a second. At some point, a serious competitor that's not dominated by right-wing ideologues is going to come along and give Reddit a serious challenge for its money. Until that happens, Spaz, unlike, say, what Mark Zuckerberg and Susan Wojcicki have to deal with, Spez is going to be able to do what he wants, when he wants, where he wants. He's not going to have to do anything about the corrupt Redditors that he has moderating his site. He's not going to have to do anything. Consequently, and again, I got to keep emphasizing this, at some point, Reddit is going to actually fail. You're not going to get a poll. You're not going to get a vote. You're going to get an actual legit challenger to Reddit with fairer rules and better moderators. And that particular site is going to rather quickly catch up to Spaz, because it's not just because it's not just Reddit. You've also seen recently YouTube make moves to basically try to corral resources around to force people in. You've also seen, I'm trying to remember what the name of there's another social media site. No, it wasn't Twitter. Twitch. Twitch also attempted to do the same thing very recently. In fact, I was covering that on the last episode. So you're seeing all of these quote unquote woke social media companies do a lot of stuff around ads and monetization and all that sort of stuff. And the consistent pattern has been it's an attempt to it is an attempt to kind of corral their financial resources and to make it easier and to up their revenue, and to kind of be able to exert a little bit more control over the content on their sites. The fact that they all appear to be doing this all at the same time kind of suggests that there's almost like and this shouldn't come as any surprise, that it's at least in Silicon Valley, there seems to be a communal mindset involved.
That's called working in lockstep, man. They did the same thing with the COVID. Unrolling of the COVID kill shots. It's routine for these bastards waging war against humanity. That's what we're up against.
Well, since you spoke up, Jeffy, I was pretty much done anyway. So go ahead.
Well, I don't know. The focus is just the social media and censorship, I guess, largely.
For the most part, this Reddit protest was about the fact that Reddit decided to charge money to third-party app operators for using Reddit, and they all just left, and about 8,000 Redditors on various sites just decided that they were going to stage a 48-hour walkout, which means that they put their channels on private for 48 hours. And of course, Spez refused to negotiate or do anything or even acknowledge anything, which of course is what happens because at least with Reddit right now, there's not a legit challenger out there. Unlike, say, Twitter. Well, Twitter's not really in that group anymore. Unlike, say, Facebook and YouTube, which have some serious competitors nipping at its heels. Reddit is pretty much pretty much the king in its field by a country mile. So go ahead, Jaffe.
Okay, well, how does Reddit compare to Substack? Vice versa, then? It's completely apples and oranges, or what exactly?
Well, I'm not super familiar with Substack. I haven't actually gone over to Substack very much.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I'm just wondering if people can, comment on Substack threads, or if it's a read-only kind of format and approach. But I'm pretty sick of most social media. BitChute, Odyssey. Well, BitChute is probably the best right now as far as for us archiving our shows. Minds.com is all right as far as being able to post things and get the material out there. Gab we're picking up a real decent amount of traction over on Gab, which has caught me kind of off guard a little. But I'll tell you what, one of the things that we're finding is if you have shows to do or any content that you like people to see, post them in the groups and watch what happens.
Yeah,
Post them in the groups with
I have
hashtags.
I've noticed that uptick at Gab too. I've noticed a lot of new groups and
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, I've
we
noticed
we,
that.
we saw a couple of your items there actually, and tried to a little bit of offered a little bit of engagement, whether clown world honk or a salute or laughing. They've got a limited amount of, I guess, what emocons basically you can use. So, but yeah, look, 2 weeks ago, our account on Facebook was restricted. Then it was locked. Following after 1 week, we're free to operate again. Suddenly, out of the blue, it locks itself down, and then so we had to fiddle around to get that taken care of. I just let it sit for a couple of days rather than even pursuing it all that much because I wasn't too. I mean, who the hell cares at this point, really? It's like, as long as we can do our shows in some fashion and get the archives out there so that people can access them through either BitChute or Odyssey, that's our primary goal. And then to keep the live streams coming between 2 to 3 times a week. But now we're restricted again. They've basically have it. So we've been, kneecapped or hamstrung. And YouTube, we're dark. We're going to stay dark until around the end of July. And hopefully at that point, we'll have all of our strikes extinguished. And we can start all over again, this cat and mouse game that they've been playing with us. We've been playing with them for the last number of years. So, and it's all too arbitrary and subjective. That's the thing. It's just endlessly frustrating, of course, the way these assholes operate, that they really have no appreciation for content producers or, whatsoever. It's just excessive, extreme, overboard, and complete disdain and disregard for basic
Yeah,
freedom
well,
of speech rights.
they pretty much did it to themselves,
Well, yeah, that's right.
I
So
mean, I hate to
we
say
vote
that.
with our computer mice.
Yeah, I mean, Reddit as like there is going to be. I don't know. I haven't looked over. I haven't even. I haven't gone over to Substack very much. I'm going to have to actually go over and have a look. Um, I haven't gone over to Substack, but I mean, I don't. As far as I know, there's not a legit competitor to Reddit out there. Although again, I haven't really looked at Substack all that much. Are you done? Can we turn it over to V?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, V, you're up.
Well, I'm loving seeing these people screw up. I mean, being on both ends of it, being on social media and owning social media, operating social media, I'm learning a lot. Learning a lot. With the, you get these nerds, you get these people. The boycott, it would have worked if they didn't give a 48-hour notice. Oh, you're gonna take a couple days off. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, who cares? The only thing that's succeeded in doing is letting these companies know that your little temper tantrums is not gonna amount to anything. You can give it up for 48 hours? Really? You can stop smoking that crack, that glass penis for a couple days? Oh yeah, you're gonna be back because you're hooked. You're a junkie. You're hooked. You're powerless. So that puts them in a position to say, "Yeah, screw you and your demands." I think it did more damage to their cause because it shows they know they really don't have conviction and belief in the cause because they can't quit it. You got these moderators the only power that they have in their little worlds is being able to lord over a group of people and hold power over certain opinions in a chat. You know, these basement dwellers, these people who have not ever had girlfriends before, these incels, these beta males that somehow can get a taste of testosterone by fanning somebody. You know, the whole system is screwed up. You know, I'm learning from all this stuff. I'm learning what to do, what not to do. If these people want to infight or implode, that's fine. You know, and it's not always about greed. In some cases, it is. I know with TLB Talk, my social network platform, at some point we are going to have to go to paid membership or maybe premium accounts, something like that, because we're adding on, we're building on to it. Okay, it's membership supported, but we've got to make add-ons. We're building stuff. We're actually putting out a newsletter Tuesday and letting people know some new features, things like that, and giving people a reason why they should be donating and supporting to our site, because it's a platform for the people, by the people. And so, again, learning from all this stuff, it's great. I guess I should spill the news here on the show. So my other company, Vigilante Media, we're in beta testing. Everything is going great. Basically, we're going to have the ability to have radio networks. You know, I can have RBN or TSN, whoever, a plethora of stations to choose from on the site. Forums, yes, just like Reddit, have user forums, and we're going to have a TV part of it, where you as a person pay for your channel and get to put out whatever you want. You can get your own sponsors. You can do all this stuff. We're even going to have a super chat. So if you're somebody who's known and mainstream networks cut you off, well, you can come to my company, bring everybody over there. It'd be the equivalent to having a Patreon, except for it's live. You can have your super chat. Most influencers that live stream get paid by super chat. Boom. We have one that's working. We can't say that for BitChute. We can't say that for Rumble. Can't say that for anybody else but YouTube, really, at this point. So all that's working. Right now, I'm just in negotiation for the apps for, Android and Apple OS for their store. So that is another thing that is, it'll be launched to the public probably by this time next year. Again, it's in beta testing. Everything's looking good. Everything's looking primo. I already have a plethora of personalities, people who have shows, people that I know in the independent media industry, newspapers, all sorts of media outlets that will be featured within Vigilante Media. And it's going to be there as an alternate to anybody who has been canceled or censored, because it's going to be pay as you go kind of a thing. It's in your control. It's in your hands. There's no pissing off sponsors, telling you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't cuss within the first minute or 10 minutes of your video because it might scare away sponsors of the company. No, you're paying an upfront price of, I don't know, I'm just going to throw an arbitrary number out there. Let's say $50 a month. You bring your crowd, your audience over, they're in your super chat, you're getting $2, $5, $10 super chats. You know, you can make hundreds of or thousands of dollars a day without anybody wagging a finger at you saying, oh, that's too woke, or oh, that's too alt-right. Because at the end of the day, it's people who are trying to be influencers. They want to take the easy road, the easy life. They want to make money putting up videos. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But you shouldn't have to get on your knees and fellatiate the parent company based, just so that you can talk and earn money that way. The day that advertisers the company is concerned about advertisers or concerned about their proprietary software, APIs, any of that stuff, that stands priority over what you have. Guess what? You're going to suffer. Yeah, you're going to lose a third of your business. But guess what? Those people are not just going to sit there. They're going to look for something else. They're going to find something else. So I'm doing my best to be ahead of the curve here and to grab all these kind of people. So, I mean, we've got all kinds of people who've been blocked off from their YouTube channel and what have you on TLB Talk. When everything is right, we're just going to merge the two. It's going to be a one-stop shop for everything that you need. Even the type of eBay marketplace where you can sell stuff. It's going to be a one-stop shop. And that's what the industry is so afraid of right now. To have a choice. To be able to actually crush competition. We're not scared of anybody. We're on our own servers. We're not on Facebook or Google, Amazon servers. We got our own. So these are the kind of people that want to boycott the industry. These are the kind of people that we need to say, screw you, Reddit. We're going somewhere else. And guess what?
Well, I mean, yeah,
wide open. I can't wait.
Reddit, Moon, who's actually rapidly becoming one of my favorite YouTubers, just talked about the fact that Reddit is eventually going to cave in on itself because a legit competitor. I mean, YouTube dodged a bullet thanks to what happened in Congress when they started going after TikTok to a certain degree. But here's the thing. If TikTok had expanded its content limit to 10 minutes, I mean, the one there's two areas right now where YouTube is really kind of holding its own right now. One of them is currently, because music videos usually run between 3 to 6 minutes. TikTok doesn't run that long, so they can't run music videos. And the other part is that, I mean, they still somehow manage to hold on to the live stream audience to a certain degree, because as you were saying, Rumble and BitChute and Odyssey don't really have a system set up properly. Kick, however, does. So yeah, YouTube's getting it from the long end on Kick and from the short end on from TikTok. So yeah, YouTube is in a lot of trouble. Reddit is going to find itself in that boat. It's just taking them a little bit longer. And with that, let's get Rearson here. Let's keep this show moving here.
Actually, Hiroki, you really just stole my thunder there. I mean, there's only one place for Reddit to go. There's only one place for Facebook to go. There's only one place for YouTube to go. Down. Like, they're the apex predator at this point. They can call the shots. My opinion being that they're also very much heavily deep state. May not necessarily be owned and operated by, but at least heavily enough influenced by. I mean, politicians have leaned on Facebook. I mean, Trudeau had said as much. Oh God, it was like 2 or 3 years ago, to make Facebook more policy friendly for him. So, man, I don't use Reddit. I haven't posted anything on Reddit. I will look on Reddit on occasion or something, but I don't live my life there. I don't spend hours upon hours of my limited time in this meat suit, combing the forums for this, that, or the other thing. I mean, Christ almighty, I'm hardly on Crackbook now as it is. Anyway, and I spend
hey, Rearson.
Yeah.
When do you actually go? Because for me, the only time I'm on Reddit is if I come across something so bizarre in the news or something. The only place that has video of what's said is on Reddit because it's not safe for work content. That's the only time I find myself on Reddit.
If I'm having some sort of an obscure computer problem, I will, whatever comes up in the search engine, if it shows up on Reddit, then I'll go take a look. But I don't have an account there. I don't post anything there. I've got better things to do with my fucking time than that. And I'm having a lot of fun right now getting back into KOTOR 2. Just picking up ideas and suggestions. I've been there for when I was playing Dungeons and Dragons online for class ideas, multi-class ideas. That's really about it. I mean, it's just relatively non-frivolous, relatively frivolous, useless information that I'm looking for out there. That's all. Excuse me, but anyway, as I was saying, there's only one place for Reddit to go, and it's to go down. Not like Monica going down, but for them to be knocked off of their high fucking horse. I can't wait to see it happen. And if you are able to maintain transparency and you don't let your platform, and I hope it grows, I really do. But if your platform grows to something approaching what Reddit is, great. I just hope that things don't fall apart like all of this. So, and I know you're smart enough to see what the fuck's going on. So, I don't see that being an issue. So,
I'm definitely learning from everybody's mistakes. That's for sure.
True, and there's a lot to see over the last 3 to 5 years anyway. So, this for me is not. It's really not that surprising with Reddit. I was waiting for something like this to fucking happen to them. So, and that's all I got to say, man. It's all back to you.
All right. So, the one other thing I want to point out about Reddit here is that, I mean, this isn't this because, like, I mean, again, if you go to Moon and you look at Moon's, by the way, that's literally the name of his YouTube channel, and no, he has not gotten on alt media yet, and he probably should. But I mean, he has pointed out that Reddit has had issues, and we've covered this on the show. They've had issues with pedophile, not minor attracted persons, pedophiles on its site, and it was just like Twitter, it was remarkably slow at getting these people off the platform. But I mean, if you said the wrong thing politically, or especially, I mean, keep in mind, I didn't really cover the vax all that heavily compared to some of the other stuff that I cover. But I mean, yeah, they were right there. So yeah, Reddit. There's a very strong possibility that Reddit might not be around in 5 years. Yeah, it is really only a matter of time until there is a serious competitor. And yeah, I'm actually going to go over and have to take a look at Substack because I've never really gotten into it. And with that, let's get on with the next topic here. This next one is a very interesting one because when you've hit the target, when the mainstream media has to start running interference for what's going on. Now, Activision has been caught up in this get woke, go broke ESG thing before, but a lot of it has been around Blizzard games, and they did some pretty significant damage to Blizzard games. Apparently, though, that wasn't enough for them. A row started last week, and I covered it last week on with Activision around Call of Duty. One of the bigger players in that platform, Nic Mercs. All Nic Mercs posted was leave the kids alone. He didn't say anything. That post didn't say anything about transgenders, didn't say anything about gays. Activision promptly removed his skin and banned him from something else. And accused him of transphobia and anti-LGBTQ and all of this stuff. And I'm all for saying leave the kids alone. Now, there might be some context that I missed over that. But you got to keep in mind, this is Activision. Now, I don't remember the specifics around what happened with Blizzard, but Blizzard Games is also owned by Activision. And it got in trouble over its Diablo series a few months back. Again, if you can remember what that was about, please let me know in the comments section or whatever. Activision is going the way of Target in Bud Light. They are taking maybe not as big a hit as say Bud Light or Target is taking, but they are taking a large enough hit that the mainstream media finally had to step out into the open and start running block. Well, you're starting to make an impact because, I mean, the mainstream media will start to insert themselves in when this alt-tech, alt-media crowd starts to actually make a difference. And what they're trying to do is they run pieces. Like, for instance, I saw a piece at one site because for real, Bud Light is no longer the biggest selling beer in the United States anymore. The part about it that stands out for me in this particular situation is that the people that overtook it ended up is another company controlled by Budweiser, but that's neither here nor there. An article came out that said, "Oh well, Bud Light. Yes, Bud Light isn't the biggest selling beer, but that was going to happen anyway because the sales were trending downwards." And it's sort of like an attempt to minimize the situation. What Rolling Stone did, and keep in mind, Rolling Stone has had some epic bad takes before we even started this show called the Red Pill Nation Hangout. There was an incident at the UVA where Rolling Stone pretty much said that this one, not sorority, frat house at the University of Virginia had engaged in a group rape, which turned out to be completely false. Now, Rolling Stone ended up getting sued, and I believe they lost over that. They're also, hold on a second. They also, and we will be covering this for 317. They are also attempting to run block for Dr. Hotez, and that's going to be a very interesting topic for 317. That is definitely a topic for 317. So Rolling Stone has already done some pretty stupid stuff. Rolling Stone, and I don't know, I think 3 out of the 4 of us here have a pretty good memory about this because I started doing the Red Pill Nation, at least on WordPress, in 2015, towards the tail end of Gamergate. And that was back in the Anita Sarkeesian days. Rolling Stone brought up the ghost of Gamergate. Now, for those of you who don't remember, Gamergate was about, as we've covered her, Zoe Quinn. We've covered her before on this show. Zoe Quinn, a not particularly good-looking woman, and I mean, on a scale from 1 to 10, I mean, she was about a 4 or a 5. Apparently, though, this didn't stop a multitude of game journals from sleeping with her to give her a video game, which was, and you think you're going to love this, Depression Quest, a good review.
Slut.
Yeah. They attempted that level of corruption was too much. Zoe Quinn attempted to run block for it. It didn't work, and it ended up blowing up. And what the mainstream media attempted to do is they tried to make this about misogyny. And this is where Anita Sarkeesian got her name. By the way, this is also the place where Candace Owens and her website, I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was actually a left-wing Social Sentinel or something like that. I can't remember what it was called.
Interesting how she flip-flopped.
Yeah, she flip-flopped over.
She made that
flip-flop,
rebranding of Candace Owens.
Yeah, that was because Zoe Quinn sent a whole bunch of people after her, and
yeah, okay, so there's a backstory to that. Fine, and make of it what you will, I guess. But this, if I got the story straight, or at least some of the details here, Zoe Quinn is sleeping around in order to get ahead in life.
Yeah, and
to further kind of promote, evolve her agenda, to have it, grow so that there's more support for what she's putting out to the world. This is, I mean, women, look at Cleopatra, and women all through history have done the exact same. This is what they do.
Cleopatra was, I mean, she wasn't stunning by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, when you've done some real life mock-ups of what Cleopatra actually looked like, Cleopatra was probably at least 2 or 3 steps. I mean, Cleopatra wasn't like a 10 or anything like that, but she wasn't ugly either.
Oh, so this what's her name again? The Quinn, Harley Quinn, Chloe Quinn,
Zoe Quinn, the Zoe poster. But yeah, they.
No, what would you say? I'm sorry, and her, as far as her attractiveness was concerned, where would you rank her? Or?
Oh, let's see, chubby, overweight.
It's like a
she's
4,
got the bull,
5.
She's got the bull ring. She's got the multicolored bright hair.
The thing through the nose, that stupid nose ring thing.
Yeah, the bull ring.
Well, holy shit! Well, she's just cunning and conniving, and men are stupid. There's a lot of stupid men that fall for these tricks and tactics. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we've Nathan Grayson. We've covered Nathan Grayson on the show before. Nathan Grayson was one of the people Zoe Quinn slept with. If you don't remember, Nathan,
is she an adult film star?
Zoe Quinn? No.
I just searched her name and nothing but porn pops up.
Really?
Yeah, nothing but porn.
And she has she has also a lip piercing as well too.
Oh, I see
lip piercing.
That. Yeah.
That's and multicolored hair.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Lots
and she's kind of chubby and overweight. She's not like obese,
Oh, she's
but
not.
she's not.
She'll look perfectly fine after I've had about 6 beers.
Yeah.
That's all. That's
Anyway,
all
so
I'm
gamer.
saying.
So Rolling Stone brought the ghost of Gamergate up and compared it with what's going on with Nic Mercs. But here's the problem: Activate again, right? This is one of the reasons why they stopped allowing comments on their articles on a lot of these publications. Zoe, the whole thing with Gamergate is that the mainstream media has, because this is something that's going to go down in history. Gamergate was the first real significant time where the mainstream media was no longer able to completely control the narrative. And it's happening more and more frequently, as you can clearly see when we're talking about what happened here recently with Bud Light and what's happened with a few other things, where it's like the mainstream media is no longer able to corral public opinion like it used to, and it's losing its power at absolutely horrendous rate right now, which, by the way, is why they're attempting to marshal the resources and why they're going to big daddy government to try to get them to do censoring for them.
Yeah. Well, and one mentioning of no comments in some places, turning off the comments. Set more. In addition to that, no more downvotes on YouTube. Only the upvotes. That's another example of. I mean, it's another form of censorship, obviously, where it's kind of like the way the science was done throughout the whole corona apocalypse, where you're just looking at one half of the picture and completely ignoring the other side of the story, and that's just, I mean, full-blown clown world is
Yep.
where we're at on that.
So suffice to say, the pushback against Activision for what they did worked. So the mainstream media is attempting to minimize it or to bring up, and again, right, they pull up alt-right, white supremacist, misogynist. They're pulling up all of the usual buzzwords, and again, of course, it's not working. And I don't know how Activision is. Well, no, Activision is eventually going to end up caving in on itself. It hasn't done it yet, but it probably will at some point, just like Electronic Arts is eventually going to lose its franchise as well. I never really got into Call of Duty. I'm not really into first-person shooters. Civilization, and games like that tend to be much more my preferred gaming style. So, the fact that they had to go, the mainstream media has never really gotten over Gamergate, because, like I said, Gamergate was the first time that the mainstream's ability to control the opinion was really seriously challenged and got debunked to a great degree. Does anybody else have anything more to say on this? V? Cap?
That's always what it boils down to, isn't it? It's control the narrative at any cost. Every story that ever makes its way. First of all, only some stories will ever be addressed or covered to begin with, right? And then there's many others that will be ignored or suppressed until the mainstream media has no other choice. They play the role of the gatekeepers, and then it's all filtering and spin from there, hoping that things will just go away, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Gatekeeping, filter, spin, hope.
Yeah, we will be doing Robert F.
away.
Kennedy and Robert Hotez next week. That's going to be a fun one. Because Hotez is just, oh my God, he just cannot help himself. And we're kind of getting off topic here. Hotez can literally not stop doubling down on his own stupidity. And he's done so much gaslighting and so much contradicting, and it gets pointed out to him, and he just keeps going. So, but we're not here to talk about Robert Hotez, Dr. Robert Hotez tonight. V, Reverson, do you have anything to comment on this one?
I doubt he's even a real doctor.
Well, I mean, it's really, see, the point of it is you can't get down to the basics. Everything has to be convoluted. Everything has to be as confusing as humanly possible. Okay. When you want to talk about the rights of this person, the rights of that person, but if it comes down to the basics, okay, you can't argue with the basic truth. If you bring up the basic, inalienable, unmutable truth in a debate or in something that is people are trying to pervert, they will remove you. So saying, hey, leave the kids alone, you should be leaving the kids alone. That basic foundation of logic and truth, which cuts out all philosophical debate, you can't have that. Especially when you got these liberals trying to chop your little boy's penis off and put a dress on him. You can't have that. There's so much debate about this, so much justification on both sides. But if you just cut all that away, it's common sense, or it should be just the most easiest kernel of truth of, hey, leave the kids alone, leave them alone. But we know, especially those who are in power know, if you want to have more power, there are certain things you have to control. Information, resources, and the next generation. So kids, children, if you try to take any one of those away from the establishment, they will knock you off your block. And as simple as that. These corporations act like the lackeys of the establishment because they are a part of the establishment. You don't get to be so huge without the people's support. You don't get to be so huge and not be beholden onto some corrupt a-hole or a-holes within the establishment. So Activision shutting this guy down for speaking a basic truth, telling everybody that up is not down, something that we should all know instinctually, intrinsically. You know, speaking reality. No, they can't have that. It's much easier to have the population divided with as many convoluted point of views as humanly possible, so that when people start making decisions at the top, you've got a whole bunch of misguided people that will agree with it, and that will help to consolidate their power. So that's why they had to shut this guy down. The basic truth: leave the kids alone. He went all Pink Floyd on us, and I'm glad he did. People should just start doing that. The basic truth. Don't get in arguments with these liberals. Just leave them alone. How are you going to argue with that? You can't. You should leave them alone. If they are meant to be a trans woman or a trans man, it'll happen. Let them do that discovery on their own. But it's not incumbent upon you to force your agenda to force these kids into mutilating themselves. In the back of their minds, they know this is true. And they don't want anybody to say that that's the truth. So this guy, I applaud him. That's great. More people should start saying the basic truth and not let anybody argue with it. So, anyways, yeah, go ahead, Ripson.
Once again, I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm going to play the game of let's follow the money. Guess who has about 9.5% stock in Activision Blizzard?
Let me guess. BlackRock.
Starts with a B and ends with a K. Yeah, exactly. It's this is starting to come to my kind of my default because like when any of the social justice shit starts to rear its ugly head, that's the first thing now I'm doing. Is like, okay, well, all right. Who are the top 10 shareholders? Unfortunately, I didn't really see the other two that normally go along with it, but BlackRock owns enough of them anyway, and I'm sure all the investment firms BlackRock has enough of a presence anyway. So
they own a significant portion of the Ukraine at this stage, apparently, large chunk of it.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's all my opinion of BlackRock being Khazarian mafia. So go back to the homeland, or make sure that the homeland's taken care of first.
Talking about the Khazarian mafia?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. But, and then the whole thing about New York. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be touching Diablo 4. I will not touch that shit. I'm not going to touch that game. Apparently, 30 tons of ammonium nitrate went missing, and apparently, when it burns red. And on Times Square, there was a Diablo 4, Welcome to Hell in New York City, date of 6.6.23, and if you do your math, 2 times 3 is, I'll leave the rest to you. So
the Rearson, the ammonium nitrate, isn't that often used to help start forest fires?
That could very well be.
I might be mistaken, but it's some sort of combustible. What do they call it now?
Ammonium nitrate is used in gunpowder.
Yeah, okay. It's used in a lot of things.
But it's used in gunpowder. That's why it's combustible.
Well, that explains why gunpowder has that reddish flare to it when it leaves the muzzle. Okay, well, I don't really need to see any more about that, but so in terms of Activision squashing this guy, I could pretty much guarantee a game right from the top, and I'm pretty sure that came. However, that would have come through my suspicion being through BlackRock for whatever that chain of command may be, through the board of governors or the board of directors, and then basically pounce on this guy. So, yeah, whatever. I haven't played World of Warcraft, in 15 years now? Yeah, about that. Had my fill of it. Ran a guild. Well, I was the figurehead of a guild, and I spent about a third of my game time was basically doing administrative work. It was a fucking job.
Pearson, your nerd is showing.
Whatever. I don't care. I mean, like I said, I'm having fun playing KOTOR 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2. And with my friend Marty, we have fun. I got my son involved in this to play MechWarrior 5 once in a while. I'm not up on the latest games. I have not jumped on any Star Wars game bandwagon. Again, after fucking Old Republic made it perfectly fine for female characters to have 5 o'clock shadow. I'm sorry. Females don't have 5 o'clock shadow, except maybe in the Mediterranean, but that's another story. And I've seen some women that are more or less Italian have the 5 o'clock shadow. Poor bitches. Anyway, that's fine. Anyway. How many times have I said when it comes to, in terms of intimacy between consenting adults? That's it. You don't need to say any more than that. At least that's my opinion. So, whatever. Activision can sit and spin. I did take a look at their stock price, and it has dropped a bit, but it's at about $80.50 or so, I think. And at its height, I think it was about, within the last 6 months, it was up to about $87. But it's stock market values fluctuate up and down. So will this continue to be a trend like what's happened with Disney recently enough? Don't know. Don't care.
We'll be covering Disney next week because the Flash and Elemental have both looked like they're en route to multi-$100 million tanks, which means that the total combined loss for Disney Pictures this year is likely on its movies, on its films. It's going to pass $1 billion, and we're not even at July yet.
Okay, you're going to have to broaden that out to Disney Marvel.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Flash is a Flash is
DC. Flash is DC Comics.
Yeah, Elemental though is just tanking.
Whatever.
Huge. Elemental is just like, wow.
That's fine. You can throw it on your woke shit or your woke actors. It ain't gonna work. But anyway, that's fine. Anyway, don't have any more to say on this one. I'm hoping that this is the beginning of a trend for people to wake up and extract themselves out of the entertainment matrix. I'll leave it at that. Back to you.
Yeah, well, my one point here is, and this is the issue. This is why the mainstream media has never gotten over Gamergate. Gamergate was the first time that the mainstream media was not able to control the entire narrative. And it's only gotten progressively worse, especially, well, I mean, when we get into Robert Hotez next week, and Hotez, and I'm just going to end here, then we're going to move on to the next topic here. Robert Hotez is just like, Hotez is double down. And every time he doubles down, because the internet is forever, and because he's been such a public figure, because he's totally sold out for the money, he has contradicted and gaslit so many people so often, so frequently, that every time, and he chose to go after Robert F. Kennedy on his own accord, right? He's just making himself look stupider and stupider and stupider, and he just keeps going like he cannot help himself. And that's all I'm going to say about that one. We'll get more into.
By the way, can we stop slut shaming? I mean, come on. If Zoe Andrews came across me, I'd let her sit on my lap and have her tell me what she wants for Christmas.
I took a look at some of those photos. When she was younger. I mean, yeah, okay. She's V's type. When she was in her early 20s,
yeah,
and everything was firmer before the wall came along, and probably has done
slap the bitch,
has done a job on her, like it does with all women eventually. Okay, Zoe Quinn's got I will say Zoe Quinn has got a nice rack. She's definitely V's type, but I mean, but the bull ring, the multicolored hair, the toxic personality. V, you want to go there? Be my guest.
Those are all the red flags I need. Hey, red flags mean go. Means go.
Be careful
and just keep going about your business.
Be careful what you wish for with this one, man. You may get it. Oh, by the way,
can't get rid of the shotgun.
I can't. What the hell was the name? Who was the name of that guy again? Hold on a second.
Grayson?
No, not Grayson.
Okay.
The individual who Zoe Quinn actually made a false accusation about, and he ended up committing suicide over it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to look that one up. I am not motivated for that one, but I was gonna say, just some of the pictures that V has posted on what he would go after. Yeah, I'm not going there. I'm just not gonna go there. It's just easier for me.
Hey, just gonna quickly jump in here while I hit the cough mic. Nobody noticed this except for me here behind the scenes. But this Hotez character, is anyone up to speed on the Simpsons franchise and its characters? That doctor that they have in the Simpsons, Doctor So and So.
Yeah, the dark skinned one. Yeah, I know which one you're
No,
talking
no. It's another guy, like a mad scientist.
Oh yeah. I know the
Kind
one
of
you're
dude
talking
with
about.
the kind of squiggly face.
Mm-hmm.
It's he's got glasses and he's got kind of like a beard. And it's like the guy's he's a ringer for Hotez, if you ask me, and the same kind of almost temperament and demeanor. So I'll have just I'd like to track that down, get his name, and
we will be covering Hotez next week, but yeah, he is a dead ringer for that guy.
but nobody remembers the doctor's surname, so I'll do a quick search here behind the scenes.
Okay, so let's move on to the next topic here. And this one is, I am so glad that we got V in for this one. I posted a photo of the guy who got accused of racism so here's what happened. A delivery driver who happened to be African American did a delivery at this house, claimed that he heard a racist remark coming from the house, complained. Amazon shut down all of the including, by the way, his automatic locked door to his house. And when he tried to get everything restored, they were basically accusing him of all sorts of stuff. And by the way, Amazon is not a legal arbiter. They do not get to decide which electronic devices you do and don't run. They don't decide whether you can go into or out of your house, etc., 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 etc. Here's the thing, right? The guys accused the individual, and this is something that has been, of course, the mainstream media totally chose to ignore, except for the New York Post. The individual who got accused of being a quote unquote racist white supremacist is actually a black man.
What's next? Oh, I was gonna say what's next. Oh, no, that's
but
right.
he said he self-identifies as white, I guess is what's going on.
I'm guessing that's what it was.
Fresh Prince of
That
Anyway,
works. I mean, this day and age, that works. That's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I took a photo. There's a photo of him. Yeah, he's a light skinned. Like I'm guessing, I'm going to have to assume that he's probably lighter skinned than you are, V. Having seen photos of you, but I mean, he doesn't look white to me. Again, though, that's just a subjective opinion. The part that really disturbs me is that Amazon can just arbitrarily shut your stuff down. Keep in mind, this was a complaint of an African American or black delivery driver against another, but which kind of suggests that it may have been personal or something like that, or maybe that the guy getting delivered to and the delivery driver had a little bit of an exchange, and it was one black guy talking to another black guy, so he said, "Nigga, man, like don't give me any gaff or whatever," and the delivery driver complained about it or whatever.
This was Alexa I thought Alexa picked it up.
It was Amazon Alexa. Yeah, Alexa. Well, I mean, Alexa has doorbell alarms.
Yeah.
They've got all they you can like literally rig your whole house up so that you
Smart
can
tech. How
walk in.
smart do
Yeah.
you feel now, people? And just imagine how much smarter everyone's going to be in the future if they so choose.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm
here's the
being
thing,
kind of
right? This is the
facetious
reason
here, of
why I've
course.
never this is the reason why I've never gone out and gotten an Alexa. Why I'm never going to move into well, I will shut off Alexa if it is part of parcel of any place that I move into. Um,
But almost everyone has a spy phone.
yeah, well, ironically enough, my cell phone is sitting right next to me, to my left on the desk while I'm talking about this. Probably because I had to call Rearson here before the show started. Um, you know, I don't. I'm not so paranoid that I throw my cell phone into the microwave before I go to bed at night. I charge it next to the computer. I don't have it in my bedroom.
Do some people do that? They leave their spy phones in the microwave?
Well, I mean, if you remember the whole situation with Edward Snowden, what Glenn Greenwald and all the reporters when he was in Hong Kong before he fled to Russia
Yeah.
had done is what they would do, and I saw them do this because I saw a documentary that they had on it, is that Glenn Greenwald and all of the reporters and all of the production staff, uh, including Snowden himself, they all put their phones in the micro. They didn't turn the microwave on, but they put their phones in the microwave before they actually did any recording.
Yeah. Why even have a microwave in the first place? We got rid of ours years ago. So
Yeah. So
but I hear what you're saying. That's interesting. And yeah, that there's no doubt that even if apparently you take the battery out, you can still be surveyed.
yeah.
And the powers that be, if they're so inclined, can, because tracking and tracing, right? And
Mhm.
that's the point things got to with the whole corona apocalypse, the pandemic. First, it started with, oh, we're just going to check your temperature. Then it was, well, now people have to wear masks. And next, of course, like, well, we have this experimental vaccine, which is really important that people take because we're going to save lives by doing this. So, make the right decision, do the right thing, and take this kill
Mhm.
shot. And then the straw that broke the camel's back, even here in South Korea, it was like a bridge too far, had me out in the streets protesting, even I think before this. But anyways, uh the track and trace, like everywhere you go, it's like, oh, smata, QR code, smata, check into the restaurant, check into the shoe store, check into
Oh yeah, that
the
was
theaters, like every freaking place you go. So you got to scan it. So just conditioning the public to get to familiarize themselves so that it's like this. They said the new normal. That's what it was
mhm.
all building up to. And you know what? They're going to be doing it all over again here within the next
Yeah, well
couple
they're
of
going to be
years.
doing
You
it.
just watch.
That's what they're doing in Edmonton with the 15-minute cities. By the way, how are you doing in terms of contacting them?
Uh, Need a little more push and effort on your part. So if you could help out, but we have made, like I was mentioning a week or so ago, some basic Facebook contact in a sense of um, subscribing to
I
their or
think
joining.
they've
I think the group that they're in or liking their page, and but just let them know,
well
just to
they
kind of.
they have a Discord. You might want to
Well,
try and join them.
dude, both of we're totally banned. Like those Discord assholes, they kicked us off the platform. No reason given whatsoever. Nothing,
Okay.
nothing at all. They've totally just kicked us off. So it's like I could care less. Like, well, then fuck Discord.
Yep,
So.
exactly. Anyway, so
And
but
sorry to jump in again, gentlemen, but I have to go. It's that time
all
of
right.
the day. I've got to
You
get
also
my.
get a hold of them via Facebook, by the way. Yig
Yeah,
Yig
we have,
United.
and
Okay.
if you could
All
just
right. Well, we'll see you around then. Thanks for jumping in.
Canada Day. Hey, Canada Day. It's a Friday, June 30th is when we like to have you together with Rearson, and typically, like ideally, any other Canadians, but even American folk, if they want to talk Canada, from any angle, whether it's the history or current state of society, or you name it, then more than welcome. That'll be the focus, given the fact
Okay,
that
by the way, I finally saw a photo of Robert Morningstar. I suspected that he was native, and he looks like he's native to me, so I actually reached out to him. Not too many Native Americans crawling around on the alt sphere, so
is he part
yeah.
native?
He looks part native. He looks like he's either full native or part native to me. When I
Okay.
take a look
Well,
at his
I mean,
photo.
do you want to talk to him or
I
interview him?
reached out to him on Skype. I will
Yeah.
talk about this later. Okay.
Let him know. With say, okay, I'm friends with Jaffe, and there you go. It's
Well,
that'll
no,
definitely
he was
help.
on that 2 Tuesdays ago. He was on the show with me when I was on for a few minutes. Remember?
Great. Okay. Well, we'll do more of that in the future. But
Okay. All
good luck
right. All
with the
right.
rest of the night here, gentlemen. Got to fly. Happy sailing.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Well, the other thing I'm going to split is Amazon. The question that I got to ask you is like, do you really want to have Amazon control the power to your house, what you can watch, whether your fridge and stove are on, all of that stuff? I mean, Amazon does not get to be the arbiter of it. It's looking very much like they're trying. Well, this whole thing about ESG as well, they can't, at least in North America, they can't do it bottom up. So what there looks like they're trying to do is at first they're trying to get the corporations to go along with it. And they literally in some cases are using force on corporations to go along with it. And the corporations are going, well, we would like to keep the system going, but we can't because we will lose funding here, if we do something different. And corporations are being forced into doing things this certain way, and because corporations are being forced into doing things this certain way, the people who are using that corporation have to use the services as provided. So the whole thing is that, and of course the way Amazon treated the guy when he called in, it took about a week to clear up for the guy. I really do feel sorry for him, but the frightening part is that, I mean, I already had really serious reservations about Alexa before this even got started. And even with having a cell phone, like, I mean, I view, because I do a lot of stuff online, I kind of view cell phones and tablets as kind of like a necessary evil. But I mean, I can absolutely guarantee you, I will never have an Alexa on the off chance that I actually end up having a woman move into my space. One of the terms that I'm going to have with her is that there's not going to be an Alexa in the house, like no Alexas, right? Like if you want some type of an automatic power on, power off setup or something, and somebody probably will come out with an alternative that isn't hooked up to the net or is a little bit more basic. But I mean, a lot of this is because, I mean, there's a certain enjoyment in just walking into your living room going, Alexa, television channel such and such, right? And having the TV just be turned on for you. No, not even having to pick up a remote, or Alexa lights, Alexa, at this time have this. I mean, there's a lot of convenience in it, and I can see why a lot of people want it. But I mean, that convenience at this point is coming with a very serious undertone. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah. So, all right. Now the jockey show is over. I like to get something in here myself. Yes. This is okay. So people understand. They understand this technology. They don't understand how far back the stuff goes. Okay, so when I became a targeted individual, when the Fed started harassing me, it got so bad, especially with technology. I had a tablet, and usual stuff on there, gaming apps, Facebook mostly, uh, and I had this Fed basically trying to threaten me, just everything in the book, just doing everything to try to push me over the edge. Uh, I remember sitting on my porcelain crown, right, or porcelain throne, and just going through Facebook just like any other time, and this guy's messaging me, oh, you enjoy spending a lot of time on the toilet, don't you? And I'm thinking to myself, this level of surveillance is too much. Now, I had literally taken out the camera. I literally took. I disassembled this thing and taken the camera out. At that time period, that's the only way I would use the device, or if the camera was duct taped. This guy is still telling me everywhere I am and what I'm doing in my place, in my apartment. Now, I was supposed to go crazy, go nuts, looking for cameras and all the other stuff. I'm very aware of the Doppler type of technology that the government uses to basically, it's like Doppler echolocation sort of thing. They use with Wi-Fi. They know where you are at all times, 3D mapping. I was smart enough to have done all this research and how they target people and all that stuff. And the reason why I've done that, when I was in the Army, this actually happened in boot camp. My drill sergeant, my squad we were just hanging out. It was leisure time. It's like, you guys want to find out something cool? You guys want to see something cool? Oh, yeah, sure. It's like, you got your cell phone, right? And it was really cool because this guy allowed us to have cell phones, even though that was it was contraband. It's like, yeah, I don't know how you know that. Oh, well, you're gonna find out. It says, turn off your phone right now. Take the battery out. I did as he said. He said, go run out to the middle of that field. Me and a couple of guys went and ran out to the middle of the field. A few minutes later, he waved us back on over to him. And guess what? Verbatim, he repeated everything that we said over there in that field. So the level of spying is done through all these devices. It's ridiculous. Yes, I'm aware. I think everybody on the show is aware that cell phones are constantly listening, constantly recording. The NSA built an entire freaking data storage facility out in the middle of Utah just to collect this information. Okay, I'm aware of it. You're all aware of it. And this is why I said I would never have a smart home. Couldn't do it. And on my show, I always tell people, you need to have counter surveillance. You need to have counter surveillance as a must. You need to have your home on surveillance. However, do not hook it up to the internet. Do not hook it up to the internet. I've been saying that for over half a decade now. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. because it's not just the hackers that'll tap into your feed. It's not just the company in itself using its policies to circumvent your rights and your privacy. The government themselves are tapping into your surveillance. You become a part of the grid once you put your stuff on the internet. We're talking about this case of this guy and having his system locked up. Now, I'm aware of this case only because I watch Louis Rossmann. I watch his YouTube channel. I get a lot of my tech news from him. Not a lot, but some. He's the guy that fought for the right to repair. He was like the main guy, and made a lot of headway against Apple. Anyways, he covered this story. But what people are not seeing, and what is not, again, this was kind of put underneath the rug. The other stuff is put underneath the rug even more. We should be talking about the police that are hacking into these doorbell cams. Okay, that's become a little quiet epidemic. Police are doing it everywhere. Some stories have gotten out about it, but quickly, you see the stuff disappear. I don't know who in the hell puts cameras in their bathrooms and in their bedrooms and has it hooked up to the internet. They have had several people, it's not just Amazon, it's the people that they get the proprietary hardware from. They're tapping into these feeds. They have accounts. They look you up by your email and they're in your cameras. It's sick. Now, this certain situation right here, where you have a guy, I don't care what he said. If he decides to scream, he's on his property, for one. He decides he wants to scream out racial slurs at somebody, well, he can do that. I'm pretty sure there's nothing in their policy once you sign that contract, once you buy that product, once you sign on to their services, it doesn't say anything about your First Amendment and its ability to hinder your freedom of speech and freedom of movement on your property. Now, not only do people need to stop hooking their stuff up to the internet, people need to stop having remote access to things. The starting your car with the key fob, all that kind of stuff. It's made carjacking so much easier. It's supposed to be a safety feature. It's made carjacking even easier. I can buy a little $8 Arduino little SMB board. Okay, I can program it. I can hijack Wi-Fi. I can hijack and flood networks with all kinds of fake access points. Take anybody's passwords when they try to log in. When I duplicate someone's network, I can take someone's signal when they try to get into their car. $8. Amazon sells this product. It's The purpose of this device is to do that. And you can buy it off of Amazon. Now, people need to stop doing remote stuff, need to stop doing internet stuff. As we've seen, there's going to be abuse of power, not just by the criminals, but by, again, the establishment as well. Human nature dictates that if there's going to be power, it's going to be abused. It just is. Amazon's not trustworthy. Your police department is not trustworthy. Your federal and shadow government damn well isn't trustworthy. People need to have their autonomy. They need to have their self-reliance. Stop becoming a part of a network. They got us so brainwashed from social networks. They got us brainwashed from the ease of access. You know, if the guy's going to hook you up with a chick, all right, he's going to hook you up with somebody, and you're going to smash. And the next thing you know, you got that guy knocking on your door and say, "Hey, can I hit that too?" Are you going to let him? Because that's essentially what you're doing. You don't share access into your private life. You just don't. Everybody's going to be doing this stuff, and when everybody does get hooked up into this particular matrix, it's going to make it harder for the rest of us. Cashless society? Come on now. Oh, you use a key to get into your apartment? Huh. What kind of weirdo are you?
Paranoid.
Yeah, no, judge me all you want to, but I'm going to have control. I'm not giving it over to somebody else. Just not. Racist. Somebody want to pull the race card. I don't know what that's about, but I do understand that this guy was emailed. This guy was emailed by Amazon and was told that there was an investigation going on. I believe he was locked out of his stuff for at least several days. They have to get back to him within 5 business days, and I know there was a weekend in that.
Yeah, it was about a week. It was about a week. It was about a week. Yeah, it was, and they were treating him like he'd done something criminal. That was like, well, no, Amazon Alexa is not criminal. The arbiter of again.
But they didn't even have the balls to say, "Oh, we're sorry, we screwed up." You know, no, it's just, "Oh, investigation's over, and you have access to your stuff." Like,
yeah, they're not
like they had the right to do that.
Yeah,
it's sick.
Oh yeah, it's disgusting.
Rearson, I know all about this all day. I'm gonna let you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rearson, yeah, take this one out.
Well, the irony is that that's the thing you brought me into all of this, because I've worked for, and I'm still working for, a security company. And I'll tell you, I really like having this remote stuff. This is a lot easier to work with. Customers' doorbell's not working because they changed their Wi-Fi. Well, it's a fucking pain in the ass. But can be done. Now, it's not, I can't have the product where I live because it's against my tenant agreement. So everything I've learned, I've had to learn from experience, from trial and error, and getting the answers from other people. And when it comes to the app, with alarm.com, I've had to listen to what the customers are telling me as to what they say. For the most part, I've played around with it a little bit, but not much. And I remember when the news came out that Amazon was buying Ring doorbell. And I just thought to myself, oh, fuck, here we go. I wasn't expecting something like this to happen, but close enough to it. I mean, what happened with this guy, this male? It actually is a good thing. I mean, it's a really good thing. If you are aware of what's going on and you can see the bigger picture from 10, 20, 40, 50,000 feet up. I have said this to customers, is that I'm not, and my employer, they're going to be heavily invested in IoT, Internet of Things. I don't want that. I don't need to have the coffee maker ready to go. Not that I drink coffee, but you get the idea. Don't need to monitor everything. I don't need to have a screen on my fridge that's connected to the Wi-Fi so that I can blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, in a sense, it'd be nice. It is convenient to have something like that on there. Well, what do I feel like making tonight? Well, here's a list, here's an inventory of what you have in the fridge. Fuck me running. Heaven fucking forbid. Like, what the fuck's gonna happen?
They're going to call you a terrorist because you're not doing it like everybody else. You're going to be on a watch list. You're going to be a terrorist.
No, whatever. I've already been defined more than a few times as being weird, and the gift of intelligence. That's all I'm going to say. And anybody that's going to throw this, you're a really, really smart guy, Rierson. Yeah, and what if I told you that the whole COVID thing was all planned out years in advance? Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Fuck off. Just go fuck yourself. Go get jabbed.
Well, I mean, at this point, when it comes to, and I mean, this whole thing, and I hate bringing up HOTES, but I mean, a prime example of bot science, right? You know, HOTES, when he posts up his stuff on Twitter, and we'll get into more of this next Wednesday. HOTES,
okay.
He gets called and he keeps posting up, oh, I'm a victim. I won't do this. I won't do that. I won't debate somebody who's not another scientist. He keeps getting called out. And of course, the mainstream media and Rolling Stone magazine, all these places, are running block for him, and it's not working. Right?
No. Yeah. Okay.
And he just keeps doubling down
because he's got nothing else.
Because he's got nothing else to do, and it's sort of like you know, I mean. Hunter Avalone, which is the guy who I covered last week, and we will be covering again next week. Hunter Avalone just figured it out, right? I mean, I actually literally posted up on Hunter Avalone's page on Twitter. It was like, Hunter, take the fucking L. Like, take it, okay? Like, you're, and I did bring race up again, but we're talking about race right now. His now ex-wife had two black dudes who were just friends, you know, and, you know, and she got caught.
Cleaning out the plumbing, were they?
Yeah, just friends. And like, she's like, literally, it's like, I mean, like, they're not even, like, the divorce papers haven't even, like, had a chance to, like, properly settle in at the courthouse. And she's already posting up, like, OnlyFans style photos on her Twitter account, right? And I'm like,
oh man, Mandango Express.
Congratulations.
And it's sort of like, and it's to quote Undead Chronic, who's not my personal favorite guy, but I mean, he does roasts of guys like Hunter Avalone, like nobody else can, and he's like going, you know, and because Hunter Avalone and him got into a debate, and we're kind of really getting off topic here, so I'm going to make sure. Hunter Avalone actually was, well, I'm married and have kids. What do you have? And it's sort of like, oh, my
sanity.
And Undead Chronic is like looking at him, like going, now it's like, yeah, you want to know what? I've never had a wife or a girlfriend that was covertly banging two fucking black guys, probably taking the whole fucking time too, while he was still married to Hunter Avalon. And I won't get into too many details, but I mean, Hunter Avalon was trying to play the racist card. He was trying to play all of the other stuff, and he was doubling down like Hotez was. And it was like, and then finally, it was like, he finally just figured out. It's like, you know what? I've lost this. I've lost. I'm backing off. But I mean, Hotez just keeps going. But again, right? Do you? V was getting really outraged about this, and I'm actually with V, and we've gone on with the topic for about 30 minutes here, so we're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay. So
yeah.
Okay. At the end of the day, if you are happy to have someone else decide what you need to do, what you need to learn, or what you don't need to know, if you are happy to be and yes, it does give you some peace of mind, but at the end of the day, especially when it comes to cameras, and when I get a car, I'm going to make sure that there's no fucking Wi-Fi in the car. I don't want someone to be able to hack into it and do whatever. And I cannot tell you how many times I've had to deal with wireless cameras in customers' homes that aren't working because, well, where's your mobile? Oh, it's in the basement. Okay, so the fact that there's even a 10% signal out of 100 that the camera somewhat doesn't even really work, it's fucking things I really want to say. It's amazing. It's amazing you even see a signal. Like the level of I won't say stupidity, but the level of ignorance that people are allowing themselves to get into. And I'm not saying I know everything, because I certainly don't. But I know what I'm not going to be doing. And to give away all of your power to a company like Amazon, yeah. In terms of putting your cell phone in the microwave, yeah, that's about the smartest place you can actually put it. I mean, the likelihood it's going to record anything at all, in terms of audio, it's probably the safest bet. But I mean, I'm terrible because your laptops, anything with a microphone connected to it, Windows 10. At some point, I have to put Linux back on as well too, so that'll give me some sense of some shielding or cloaking, shall we say, from it all. But at the end of the day, I mean, one of these days, I'm going to go back to a flip phone that I had long enough time ago. It was great. It wasn't attached to the fucking thing, but whatever. If you are going to have your own alarm system, you're going to have cameras, your best bet, and it's a pain in the ass, is to feed the cables through your finished walls. You'll have to get an electrician or someone who's going to spend at least 8 hours, if not. It'd be typically it's going to be it could be a full day job for someone to fish the wiring through. And I've worked for an electrical contractor, and unfinished walls are great. Did a job with one, Nigel was the electrician. It was a lot of finagling, and you had to make it look kind of nice. And the people that owned the unit, well, I don't know who was the bitch and who enjoyed the prostate massage or the prostate probing the most. We'll leave that alone. But yeah, if you feel happy and secure knowing that something like Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and whatever else that he represents is happy to be watching over you, you know what? Great. Fucking knock yourself out. I don't like it. I'm not going to like it, and I will avoid it as much and as long as possible. And this only gives me more conviction that what I want to do is not necessarily live off-grid, but I'd like to be very, very mobile and keep it that way. Granted, yes, it can still be tracked by your IP and your internet, wherever it is that you are, because there is that. But hopefully, the hopium that I'm on is that things that are coming down the pipe soon enough, it's going to make Amazon go by way of the dodo. I'm hoping we're going to be going through some big changes very soon, but it all takes time to unfold, so we'll see. And that's all I'm going to say on it. Off to you, my friend. Bum, 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 bum. You're still muted.
Okay, yeah, I'm not muted anymore. All right, so yeah, I'm just gonna say, not if I do get a system like that, I'm definitely it's going to be one. Well, I don't think I'll be getting a system. I mean, what the hell would I need? What the hell would I need a system like that for? Like you, I'm actually planning on maybe not going out to the countryside, but definitely moving into a smaller town. And from there, I might go out to the countryside. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of skills that involve moving out to the countryside that I don't currently have, and then I'm probably going to have to. And it's not stuff that I get fired up about. That's the thing, right? Anyway, getting on to the next topic, and this one's kind of fun. And I'm again, whenever this particular topic comes up, by the way, I mean, if Kelso was on right now, he would probably be saying, "Oh, well, this is an attempt to distract people from what's actually going on." As the mainstream media starts to lose its impact, as it starts to lose its ability to control the narrative, a lot of alt theories and a lot of I won't say, not cryptids and stuff like UFOs and psychic abilities and whatever, and a lot of this other stuff that having the mainstream media control the narrative over meant that these topics really didn't get discussed very much, or if they were brought up, what would happen is basically Space Network would find the most unhinged, uncensored individual at a conference, and they would interview this guy and project that out to equate to something that they would do with the UFO community quite frequently, or with UFO abductions. Right? They'd find the most unhinged individual who probably didn't get abducted. By the way, if you're concerned about that, we have a product called Tinfoil Hats Are Us. We have all sizes, shapes, and fashions, even ones for the family pet. Just remember to call in and scream really loudly, "They're not gonna get me!" in order to get 10% off your order.
Not the ass.
And by the way, if you're really nice, we might even throw in a small package of Orange Man Bad Hand Balm, especially if you really are that obsessed about Trump. Getting back to
That's my cue.
One standard at the Red Pill Nation, no standard. Anyway, so this is the thing, as the mainstream media is beginning to lose, and of course, right, they had very briefly when it was just YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit in control of them, and of course they went out and did everything, because I mean, once upon a time, everything was based out of, all of these companies were based out of Silicon Valley, right? They thought they'd put a cap on it. Gamergate, which we were talking about probably about an hour and 20 minutes ago, Gamergate was the first time that whole narrative had really seriously gotten challenged, and they ended up losing. So they tried, they over the next 7 or 8 years, they have tried to do more since 2014. They have slowly but surely ratcheted up the censorship. The only problem is that it's gotten cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to stream. It's gotten cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to produce a website. It's gotten cheaper and cheaper and easier for somebody. It's gotten to the point now, when I've discussed this with Hollywood over the years, about Hollywood, it's really only a matter of time before someone posts up a tube series, an exclusive tube series, not something on Netflix, not something on Amazon Prime, not even something on one of the alt networks, subscription networks, but just something that goes straight up on YouTube or Rumble or Odyssey or BitChute or whatever, stays up and becomes a hit, or what you're seeing with Twitter, because I think that's the direction Elon Musk is trying to push Twitter, is that it's going to be an everything app. There's going to be a Twitter TV and everything else, which is why he's trying to attract talent like Tucker Carlson, which we will get into in the next topic. Among the things that is going on is that in the attempt to try to control the narrative around vaccines and censorship and globalism and all of this other, and to a lesser extent, I mean, because we're also going to be covering Andrew Tate finally getting formally charged next week as well. Oh, and to a lesser extent, with the way they're trying to go after the manosphere, stuff like cryptids and UFOs and psychic ability and all that other stuff. That stuff has just kind of quietly crept up and started to get more legitimate because the mainstream media is trying to control the narrative with dwindling resources and a dwindling audience, and their ability to direct the audience or to use their soft power to direct opinion everywhere is starting to fade out. So things like what has happened, there was a big UFO conference, a bunch of actual legit Pentagon insiders came out and revealed something that was probably one of the worst kept secrets in ufology, that indeed the government does have UFO technology. I'm about as surprised about this as the sun coming up tomorrow morning. They have probably had technology like this at least since Roswell, probably sooner. There's been some speculation that some of the tech booms that have taken place have been because of this captured technology. I like to think that humanity is a little bit more inventive than that. I will also point something out. The amount of UFO, or the amount of interests that these other species, for lack of a better term, have had in our planet has increased, started to happen. I'm still thinking that those two when they started doing those atomic bomb tests and when they actually used the bombs as a weapon, that it kind of sent a signal out, and suddenly we became a species of interest because now we had reached a level where, we required maybe a little bit more monitoring. That doesn't necessarily mean interference. That just means monitoring, right? The fact that this has been kind of like, I used to be really big on UFOs, and then I stopped being big on UFOs because of some of the stuff that happened over on the manosphere and whatever, and I can only focus my attention on so many issues. The UFO issue is kind of fascinating, and there's all sorts of directions that you can take it. Something like this, though, again, right? The mainstream media and the globalists, they've got a lot of money, but the pool of money they have and the talent, and again, most of the talent that they have working for them is bought, which means that they're just doing this for the paycheck. They're not they're mercenaries for the most part, right? So they're not fully dedicated to the job that they're doing. Some of them, there's a small minority of them that are, but I mean, a lot of them are just doing it for the paycheck, right? So they're not gonna be putting 110% in. So I mean, stuff like UFOs and Bigfoot and Sasquatch and cryptids and all this other paranormal phenomena stuff is being basically ignored because they've got bigger fish to fry. They've got others. The mainstream media has got other stuff to lie about and debunk and whatever. So, yeah, the whole situation with the UFO craft in its possession, that's probably no surprise to me now. Could we go down the path that, well, I mean, the tech boom that we've had since the 40s probably wouldn't have happened because of Roswell? That's debatable. Again, I'd like to give humanity a little bit more credit than some people want to. yeah, there's a yin and a yang to the human species, and there's a dark side. There's a dark nature to every single one of us, present company included. That includes all three of us that are still on this show, right? That's some of the stuff that we've gotten may have been kickstarted because of the UFO situation, but I don't think it's the whole story. But again, fascinating topic. Kind of weird that it came out now. If we had Kelso on, Kelso might be saying that. I can't speculate on what exactly Kelso would be saying, but I mean, I suspect that Kelso would be saying, well, this is an attempt to distract us from what's going on. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it is still a fascinating story. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Okay, well, I will state this. Okay, so we went from horse and buggy and to the moon within a century. As many of 100,000s of years we've been on this planet, I'm not going to say that we're too inventive. The technology boom was absolutely 100% because of the Roswell crash and other crashes. It wasn't the only one.
There was Shag
yes.
Harbor. There was a number of them. Shag Harbor in Nova Scotia is otherwise known as the Canadian Roswell.
Right. So there's been a few of those. And I'm not going to say it's a distraction for this information to come out. It's actually sort of planned for around this time period because it's not about distracting, it's about overwhelming. We as a society now, with all the BS the government's doing, with all the BS the corporations are doing, all the BS coming from all points of establishment, it's about overwhelming. Now, alien life, there's just nothing we can do about that. Okay? I mean, you've got a society, especially in the States, people are wanting to have a civil war. People are wanting a new Independence Day. We want to crush our government and replace it. It's gotten that bad. And so anytime any thought, any schools of thoughts like that get started going, the government has something to pull out of its butt to, yes, distract us. But like I said, at this point, it's about overwhelming. So the mindset here is, okay, you're angry? You're angry? No, you should be afraid. Because without us, you're lost. So you're going to put up with our corruption. That's what's going on. And I've actually been talking about this particular thing. I'm definitely into the ufology community. When I think it was, yes, Buzz Aldrin, who was saying that on their mission to the moon, and when they got to the moon, they were followed around by sets of lights that came in threes. Now, I put this in the chat here. This is the U.S. military patent for the anti-grav triangular spacecraft. Okay. When I originally found this patent, it said 1968. When I originally found this patent. Now, Google's changed it to 2004 and beyond. I think I have the original screenshot. When I found it, it said 1968. Either way, this is the government patent. Now, and I'm going to tell you, in my studies, this is a ringer. When you see inventor John St. Clair, that is military intelligence. That's DIA. Okay. I know I followed that name around quite a bit. This same John St. Clair has had lawsuits against the NSA for their targeting him. Targeted him much the same way they targeted me, because that's how they get rid of people covertly. They target you, make you go crazy, kill yourself, kill someone else, get thrown behind bars, whatever. So this is, yes, a and it says the status of it is abandoned. Okay, that's the status of this patent, which means it has gone back to being classified, essentially. However, it is there. It's on record. Google Records is and the thing about patent law and patents, you can find a lot of secret government technology if you just run through the patents. People are not versed in patent law. They're not versed in patent language. There's a whole basic description that you have to get these things patented. And you have to use all legal and scientific jargon when you do so in order to be approved for a patent. That way, nobody actually figures out what the hell it is that you're doing. You have to be well versed in science disciplines to understand half of what you're reading. So it's there. Yes. I actually think that, yeah, the mission to the moon was supervised by our secret space program. Buzz Aldrin said they're being followed around by sets of threes, these lights. There was no interaction, but they were escorted, essentially. Now, there's a lot of speculation whether or not we could have actually gotten to the moon with rocket technology, conventional technology. And NASA, there's been a few scientists that have been asked, hey, why haven't we been back to the moon yet? And these scientists have said, we lost the technology that we had to get to the moon, so we can't go back. Now, that means somebody in the Department of Defense or the NSA came through and took back whatever anti-grav machinery that was on these rockets and said no more. Either that or these escort ships have some sort of tractor beam that they're using to help these rockets get up there. I don't know. But a time like this, for this information to come out that, yes, we have this technology, that also means that other governments have it too. China, Russia, these are all potential other players. China got a rover up there on the moon, right? This when we become so close to actually, when I say we, I mean the just the corporate side of things outside of government, because you have these corporations that are developing stuff too. When they get so close to stuff, the government will actually say, "Oh yes, this already exists." That's common. It's a common thing. Or they'll co-opt it and turn into another black operation. These corporations, these universities, they're responsible for most of the technology that we have. The innovations to the millenniums. Because the government and their government spending, there's only so much that they can do covertly and have it underneath, national security. So it is time for this information to come out, especially when you have a population that's becoming more secular. There are more atheists on the planet than I do believe people who are religious. School of thought will dictate if, aliens were to, information about aliens officially were to come out right now, it would demoralize the smaller sect of people, and the atheists would be more accepting to this information. So in a way, this is all planned. It has to come out. It has to. People are getting smarter. People are doing the research. And people are no longer believing the BS that comes out of the government. So it's just a natural development. And it's going to continue. So I can go on and on about this forever too, but I'll go ahead and leave it right there. Go ahead, Gerson.
On Netflix, when I had a subscription back in the day, I had to look it up. Unacknowledged was a documentary. And it's about UFOs and aliens and all the fun stuff that we're kind of talking about now. And my friend told me about it, so I eventually did watch it. And he said when his mother was finished watching it, she was just stunned of the cover-ups, in my opinion. I'm also of the opinion that Stanley Kubrick was, in all likelihood, he was killed because, according to him, and even Buzz Aldrin, I think, was asked this rather candid question from a young child girl. Have we ever, why haven't we been back? That sort of thing. But it was the way that the question was phrased. And Aldrin had basically just said, well, I know that that's basically a question from a young person such as you. But he basically said, we've never been there. We never went there. Sorry, Nork, I got to mute you. And then I heard from, this has been floating on Telegram, Bill Nye, the questionable science guy, since he's, his education is mechanical engineering, has basically said that we as a planet, we're not going anywhere because we are in a closed system. Now, this is where things could get biblical and the debate on the firmament, which I'm more inclined to agree with, or at least feel that it's probably right. But right now, not the time or place. The other thing, too, is that what has been floating around on Telegram, I can't speak for other platforms. Apparently with Telegram, yeah, that too. There's been talk of the next phase of the playbook, shall we say, the deep state playbook. And this is it. This was talked about, the expectation it's going to be, I think it's been no more than about 6 months. It's like, okay, well, the next thing that the bad guys are going to do is that it's going to be is to just wait for it, aliens and UFOs. And again, that was what was unacknowledged, is that the deep state, the extreme leftists, the group that BlackRock is part of, the concerning mafia, shall we say, they're going to pull the alien UFO card. And like, this is apparently like one of their last things that they've got going on. Now, it could be a case of Project Bluebeam, which is apparently holographic. Now, if there was the anti-gravity technology that's been slapped onto the rockets that made it to the moon, assume they even made it to the moon, who fucking knows right now. And that was before Naroki was born. If they had that technology back then, what else? What else has been hidden, suppressed, or concealed? Do I believe that we're the only species in this third dimensional realm? No. Oh God, no. What's out there? I have no idea. I mean, we don't even know half. I'm sure not even a quarter of what needs to be known on the whatever the hell, on what we're on, which is kind of flat, really. Again, I'm not going to get into that debate, but I think we were given a taste of what the world is really like when you saw Asgard and Thor Ragnarok when they left. Because there was the waterfall and it just falls off. But anyway. For me, personally speaking, I believe that I'm ready to finally hear that we're not the only life forms in this universe. Will it happen? I believe it will happen. Will it be in the coming months? Because there's the Durham report that just came, but Durham just testified today, and there's a lot to be said about all of that. Completely and totally pointed the finger back at Hillary and the whole FISA-gate and everything that went along with all of that. So this, as I said, I believe this is one of the last cards that the deep state has left in their hand to play, which is the aliens. And to start this, you're gonna have to come out and say, yeah, by the way, yeah, Roswell and Area 51, or however they want to spin it. Yep. Yeah. I'm not terribly surprised. I want to say that I am, but I'm not terribly surprised. So, and I'll leave it at that. And I will take the time to... No, I can't unmute you. There you go. Yep, there you go, Narkin. All yours.
No, I unmuted myself. It's my damn show, that's why. Okay. Next topic. Well, I mean, again, right, we could go off. I mean, I thought initially about doing a show on cryptids and all that sort of stuff, and it was sort of like, well, no, real life has actually become such a clown world that it's actually better than all the UFO stuff. Because I mean, because I'm literally almost older than dirt now. A lot of the stuff about UFOs and whatever, like, I mean, when I see a documentary on Roswell and all that sort of stuff, it's sort of like, yeah, whatever, right? For instance, last night I was watching a special on Amityville, and Amityville's been done to death, like to death. And I learned something really interesting. Like, not the individual, like, first of all, it turns out that the guy who went on this rampant killing spree, um, he, well, there was definitely some possession stuff going on there, but apparently there was, well, I mean, the father was an abusive asshole, and I mean, it was a quote unquote dysfunctional family, and it may have been an actual planned, like the guy who committed the murders may not have acted alone, and the second family that moved in after the murders took place, there's a bunch of stuff left out about the son in that particular city. First of all, um, the second family that moved in there, the husband and wife were not the initial husband and wife, and the mother's kid, the mother of the two children, that wasn't the actual biological father. So you had all of the stepdad situation going on, and apparently this guy was into the occult, and he moved into a house where a previous murder had taken place, and because he was into the occult, and he wasn't apparently he wasn't a particularly likable guy either. And it is speculated that he may have unleashed something that had already been in the house, but something went wrong, and it really went wrong with him. But apparently he's not the innocent. The second incident where the guy just kind of went off the deep end but didn't kill anybody, a lot of that he brought on himself. So yeah, stuff does change over the years, but I mean, most of the stuff has been done to death, right? So I mean, I didn't want to get into it. I still really don't want to get into it because I mean, it's like if I were to start, I mean, I have to start up a separate channel, and I mean, I'm having a hard enough time trying to corral the occasional guest to come on this show, much less start up another. Like I respect people that do have the hustle to run multiple shows at a time. I mean, if I was working only for myself, and I was, by the way, I probably should have done this right at the start, but I forgot to shill. I am at Patreon as the Roki5. I'm a subscribe star as the Red Pill Nation. If just 1% of you actually gave me $1 a month, I might actually get to the point where I can do this full time. If I was able to do this full time, maybe I would run a second channel, right? As it is right now, I have something planned out in the works, but again, I don't have the time to be chasing around the paranormal on top of all the other stuff I got to keep track of, and my day job, and also having a life outside of the internet and my job, which I think is really important to me and something that I have been working on a lot these last couple of months, which, by the way, for those of you who are curious to know, which is why my activity and the amount of work I've been putting into this channel has decreased markedly over the past couple of months, because I do want to reestablish this stuff in my life. Yeah, it's this was really fascinating, and we could go on about it forever and ever and ever. I just don't have the time to do it currently, although it is fascinating, and it was kind of fun bringing up this as the topic. But we are going to move on to the next topic here, which is Tucker Carlson and, of course, Fox News sending a threatening legal letter to Tucker Carlson ordering him to cease and desist his Twitter show. Okay, well, this is almost the same sort of thing that Project Veritas. This is not literally the same thing. It is almost the same thing that Project Veritas is attempting to do with James O'Keefe. They couldn't shut these guys up by kicking. They weren't going to be able to shut Tucker Carlson up by kicking him off Fox, because Tucker Carlson's got options now. They clandestinely put people on the board of Project Veritas, which I guarantee you, James O'Keefe, if he forms another board again, will be looking very much more carefully at the people on his board. And yeah, the Project Veritas, and the fact that these two lawsuits came almost right, like literally within 2 weeks of each other, also strongly suggests coordination. This might be the point where Jaffe would jump in again, but yeah, it does strongly suggest coordination. But yeah, Twitter sent a letter to Tucker Carlson telling him that going on Twitter would be a conflict of interest. It's not, but they have to start up with this because of the absolute, and the same thing with, and we'll be getting into Robert F. Kennedy next week, and what they're doing with Robert F. Kennedy, who is rapidly turning into a legitimate challenger to Joe Biden, by the way, which I think is probably a good thing, although I've got some really strong observations about Robert F. Kennedy. The whole situation here is, and I mean, this is in it. They have to start censoring now because and I'm going to go on the record and say it. Sometime in the first 6 months of 2024, you're going to see another George Floyd style race event. You can literally you could take that one to the goddamn bank. They're going to try and pull it again. Of course, it's not going to work outside of a few cities this time around, because this time around, the opposition or people on our side of the barbed wire fence are going to be aware of what they're trying to do, right? So they have to start out with the censorship earlier than what they had to start before, because they have to have all their pieces in place to launch their publicity strike without opposition and have the opposition cleared before they even get started. Because if they have them in place, the alt media is going to be ready for this in 2024. Like, they're going to have their ducks in a row. They're going to have their guns in place, for lack of a better term. I'm talking metaphorically. So when they try to pull a George Floyd, it's not going to work, or it's not going to be as nearly as effective, because the guns will be in place. So what they got to do now is that they got to take it a step forward. They got to make sure these people are not even around to form opposition. So they have to ramp up the censorship in the next 6 months before they're able to pull anything in 2024, because if these people are left free and available, they're going to have all their guns trained, and they're going to be specifically looking for a George Floyd type of an event. And if they try and pull it, and they will, the alt media is going to be ready, and the mainstream media, at the rate it's going, it's not going to have a whole lot of if most of its legitimacy is lost, hasn't been lost already. I mean, think of what it's going to be like in another year. So they don't have control of Twitter. They don't have control. They booted Tucker Carlson off of Fox, but that didn't have the effect that they wanted to have. They removed James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. That didn't have the effect that they wanted to have. So now they have to start and everything that keep doing with Trump, which I covered last week, is also continuously backfiring. But that's the reason why they keep trying to indict him on stuff, because it's literally, and what Rearson was saying, they're running out of cards to play. And it is going to require a direct intervention by this, and by the way, we'll also be covering something about the residential schools in Canada. Guess what's going to be happening? And we're going to be discussing this next week, Rearson. Questioning the narrative around the residential schools in Canada. Potentially, you're risking a fine and jail time if you question that narrative. Yeah, I wish I was lying about that, but I'm not. So yeah, the whole situation is they have to get these people bogged down in legalities in an attempt to try and shut them up. The only problem is, and I think this is the wild card that existed in 2024 that doesn't exist in 2020 is the fact, hold on, it's the fact that Twitter is not on board with any of this stuff anymore. And when I get into what's going on with Hotez, had Hotez did what he did before Elon Musk bought Twitter, and by the way, I am not an Elon Musk, but then again, if you've listened to the show long enough, you know I'm not a fan of anyone. But I mean, had Hotez tried to pull the BS that he's pulling now, if he had tried pulling that in 2021, Twitter would have had him backed up right to the max, and that's not happening anymore. So, you're going to see probably a lot in the next 6 months. You're going to see both the Biden administration and the Trudeau regime at this point attempt to do everything they can, which, by the way, is why C11 is been an issue in Canada, to try to muzzle the alt media before the elections come up. Because both Trudeau and Biden, if they don't do this, their chances of getting reelected are slim and none. Now, let's take that to the next logical step. If we allow Pierre Poilievre, and I am not sold on Poilievre, and I believe, Rusin, you're not sold on him either, right? Rusin, you're still considering that sex change, right? Rusin, you've been inducted by Ely multiple times,
was dealing
right?
with something on the home front.
Yeah.
Well, can I jump in here? Listen. What legality is this letter? Is it a cease and desist, or is it just a?
Yeah, it's a legal cease and desist with threat of legal action, and of course Tucker has completely ignored it, and he's going ahead, right?
If he's not underneath contract from Fox, which I assume he is not, since they have terminated his employment, this cease and desist is not valid in any way, shape, or form.
No,
in fact, it might be considered to be harassment. You can't stop someone from being employed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, again, right, the legalities being what they are, but you know what lawyers are like, left is right, up is down, right? They have to do something. They have to do something to silence him before it gets to that point. And again, right, now, is turning it over to Trump or DeSantis or Pierre Poilievre going to actually solve the problem? Well, again, let's take it one step further. Apparently, the establishment is wargaming a potential war scenario between the United States, Russia, and China. Are Trump and Poilievre, I mean, if they're just another wing of the globalist bird, we're going to just see a continuation and escalation, especially even if it's either Trump or DeSantis. We're just going to see continued escalation of tensions between Russia and the United States and China in the United States. So, yeah. Not sure if a political solution is even possible at this point. But again, we're kind of getting off on type. But I mean, part of that has to make sure that they have the opposition muscle, because Biden is, I don't think Robert F. Kennedy is in on it, although he might be. He is a politician. He is part of the Kennedy clan. So that's something to consider there. But again, right, they have to start ramping up the censorship earlier now, because it's becoming very clear to them the MSM no longer controls the narrative like it did even 4 years ago. I'm going to turn it over to V now.
Yeah, well, I think it's a bit ludicrous for them to send a cease and desist. He would have to have a special contract upon termination. He can't use his name, or maybe has some kind of ownership of his name, or the character he plays, the persona of of his name. I mean, is that even his real name, Tucker Carlson? That's the only thing I see that could be possible if they own that persona. However, if that's not the case, they don't have anything on the guy. Sending him a cease and desist. If I were Carlson, I would get a lawyer and I would sue them for harassment, stepping in the way of employment, blackballing, uh, under coercive legal action threat. That's and a threat through the legal system. I mean, that's a serious offense. Now I know Fox has already lost $800 million behind Carlson Tucker. I'm pretty sure he can bleed them completely dry if they want to poke the bear. What's that guy Rudolph? I mean, I don't know if he has a hard on for him, and that's probably, you talk about, the narrative and all that stuff, and the control and the information. It could be something as simple as the owner of Fox being butthurt that Tucker Carlson can just move on and potentially go and start something bigger, stronger, more powerful than what he's got. It could just be butthurt freaking ego for all we know. These billionaire types, they think they make you, and they think they can break you. So it's a lot of ego. That's what I see at this point, especially if Tucker's going to be taking away his audience over to his new platform. And that's a lot of people that's not going to be tuning in to Fox. That's a lot of people that's not going to go to Fox YouTube channel. That's a lot. You're talking millions and millions of people who are going to be supporting someone other than Fox. So I think, me personally, I don't think it's as deep as what you say. I think it's what's his name, Rudolph Murdoch. I think it's him being butthurt. I don't know. I would have to see if he's contractually obligated to Fox still at some level. Other than that, it's just ego. So that's just my view on it. And if Rearson's back, I'm done. Rearson, you there? All right. Well, anyways, I don't know. What do you think? You're muted, Naroki.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, if Rooston misses it, then that's his look. But this next topic is right up his alley, and hold on a second here. Having the usual issues with my timestamp. There we go. All right. Well, all right. So among the other things that they predicted at the start of the year is that, and you're actually seeing it, you're starting to see a really serious pushback against the trans agenda. Lines are being drawn. It's of course, the mainstream media is playing this off as if it's it's an attempt by the far right to throw all gays in jail. And they're doing everything they can to avoid, they're bending over backwards to avoid the fact that the vast majority of this is just simply transgenders demanding access to someone else's kids. When you bring that up and you say, well, you're I mean, and you gotta keep in mind here, it's not even I don't even think it's the majority of the gay population. It's more of the trans population that's doing this. It's sort of like, like you can't reproduce. Okay, you cannot have kids. All right, like what you do in your own bedroom is your own business. But when you start well, first of all, you get a whole month. Which, by the way, there's also been some serious pushback. I think the LGBTQ month thing kind of hit its peak last year, and it's like, I mean, a lot of companies backed off on it this year, and you'll probably see even more as the trans community continues to self-destruct, and all we got to do is just basically stand at point. But the whole thing is, I mean, yeah, you've got politicians like AOC and various members of the NDP and the Liberals in Canada and a lot of Democrats down in the U.S. Siding with the trans because, the mainstream media is saying that they're gonna try to wipe out the gay. They're gonna put gays in camps and whatever, and they're gonna try to kill them all and everything else. They're trying to stoke the atmosphere of fear and mistrust, right? And of course, they're already mentally unhinged, and of course, a lot of them believe what's going on in the magic screen, and it's also starting to dawn even on a lot of the gay population, right? That this particular segment that is demanding access to other people's kids is making them look bad. It is weighing them down. It is like literally, in some cases, threatening to undo all of the rights that they had fought so hard to get in the first place, like gay marriage, which I didn't have an issue with, right? Because again, what somebody does in their own bedroom is their business, right? Not ours. That right stops when you start demanding that we start celebrating your lifestyle, that we start allowing you to have access to kids and whatever, right? The moment they started going after, and a lot of this also potentially may have started out because of the vaccines, and when they started going after, and they said they were going to do this, right, at one point. Oh, no, they're going to come with your kids. Oh, that's ridiculous. Well, guess what, right? They started coming for the kids, right? So you had them trying to vaccinate the kids, even though COVID wasn't particularly fatal towards children in any significant manner. It was mostly the average age of death for COVID was 80, I think it was 84 years old. So half the people who died of COVID were over 80, like we're well over 80. So that's where it got started, and then they tried this, and it's like no. I mean, I don't have kids, but it's sort of like, no, I am not allowing you access to my children. No, I don't fucking care if that's an appeal to popularity. I don't care if that woman over there doesn't have a problem with it. I do, right? If she wants to take her kids in and have to deal with the mental issues and the costs and everything else that are going to come up because she intentionally screwed up her kids mentally and emotionally, confused the kid when he hit puberty, that's going to be on her. That doesn't mean I'm going to allow it on if I had kids of my own, right? But I mean, the rules stop when you start demanding access to other people's kids, and you're seeing protests on this. And one of the things that is going on here And there's one particular protester, actually, though, twice in Calgary in the past couple of weeks, where the head of BLM got charged criminally because she was not allowing white kids into the school that she was at. And there's another one. She's been literally, she got caught at a protest against trans having access to the kids, literally assaulting the people there. And she gets out of prison. She gets out of jail. And literally within an hour, she's back doing the exact same thing. That we won't really get into that at this point. But I mean, I've seen this. I'm not going to get in. She's obviously got some mental issues, and the reason why she is getting away with this is because people are allowing her to. But this one was particularly bad because this wasn't just some. And again, right? If I show a picture of her, yeah, V, she is your type. This woman who's doing this in Calgary, she has your body type, right? The type of woman that you'd be interested in. Have fun. If you want to go there, go there. I wouldn't touch this woman with a 10-foot pole personally. But the one I'm talking about today, this was a literal member of Parliament. And there was a protest, I believe it was in Ottawa, or it may have been somewhere else. Again, pushing and shoving. And by the way, it's going to escalate from there. Somebody is going to pull a gun. Somebody is going to pull a weapon at some point because it's just getting that heated. But what ended up happening is that there was an NDP member of Parliament by the name of Joel Harden. He was there with a microphone. He was there expressing his support for the LGBTQ, whatever cause. And pushing and shoving happened, and he had a bullhorn right up to his face, and he got bumped into, and there's a little wedge on the bullhorn that got him from his bullhorn that he was holding, that got him in the face. So there was a cut, there's a little bit of bleeding, and there's a little bit of scabbing, right? Because somebody bumped into him, and the bullhorn that he was carrying got bumped into his face. He went on Twitter and tried to claim, and this is no bullshit, he tried to claim that somebody from the other side assaulted him. The only problem is that there were multiple cameras in the area, and one of them caught the bullhorn being shoved into his face. So yeah, if you're starting to hear echoes of Jussie Smollett again, that's exactly what this was. So he posted this up. Jagmeet Singh and all of the usual suspects came in and said, "Oh, you're so stunning and brave and whatever," right? But then, of course, and again, we're going to be going into this with Hotez again, right? The other side came back over and said, "No, the bullhorn got pushed into your face. We've got the receipts. We've got multiple receipts. You never got assaulted. Nobody laid a hand into you. Someone got shoved into you, which isn't assault. And you're trying to play this off as an assault." And of course, they kept doubling down. But of course, right, the receipts, right? It's always about the receipts, and it's always about the actual footage and whatever. And of course, he got totally he totally lost face. They tried to double down, but it didn't work because every time they tried it, there was somebody there with a video countermanding or a photo countermanding what he was saying, right? So what happened is, and this should come as also no surprise, the MSM went completely silent about it, which is why I missed this as a topic last week and had to include it this week, because not only did the media go totally silent about it, but Google and to a lesser extent DuckDuckGo have attempted to bury this story, which is the reason why we're talking about it, which is why, even though it was 2 weeks ago, I thought it was necessary to bring this up as a topic tonight, because we can't bury this story. This is a Jussie Smollett-style fraud claim. a member of parliament for the New Democrat Party who was praised by Jagmeet Singh. I've got the photo, which I might post up here when you get the V sharing, showing him, Jagmeet Singh, praising this guy, got caught in a Jussie Smollett-style lie. He was in no way censored or given a hard rebuke by Jagmeet Singh. They just kind of like quietly shoved it under the rug and hoped that it was going to go away. And fortunately for them, for the most part, it did. But, I felt it was necessary, even though it's a little bit of old news, that I would finish off the episode by bringing this up. And I will post the photos for you guys to take a look at in a second here, but I'm going to turn it over to V.
Well, okay. So what I can do here is, I'm going to share my personal experience. Growing up, moved into white suburbia, been in a middle class place, went to some very, I would say, white collar schools. It was difficult for me growing up. I'm glad I had this difficulty, by the way, but it was difficult for me growing up. I still didn't have very much. I didn't get to do a lot of things. I complained to my parents, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? My friends all do it. All my friends, well, that's your friends. That's not up in this household. Your white friends, your white friends curse at their parents. Your white friends hit their parents. Your white friends steal other parents' purses and wallets to go buy whatever they want. They're unruly people. You got to see, you see a whole bunch of white school shooters now, don't you? You're not doing that. Like, nope, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. So the same generation of people are the ones taking their now kids to these trans people to celebrate their debauchery. I'm glad I was raised right. I'm glad my parents defined the rules. Okay? The whole point of being a parent is to guide your children. You don't have children and let them decide if they're a boy or girl. You don't let them decide that. You don't let them decide, things that adults should be deciding. You don't need permission to change your baby's diaper. You don't need consent. So I want to fall back on a quote from Malcolm X. Only a fool will let his enemy teach his children. That's the way I was raised. My father made sure to educate me at home. I educated myself at home. Yeah, I went to the schools and everything, but that was just like, I did my mandatory time, so to speak. My real education happened at home and on the streets. So letting the establishment, again, this culture, letting the establishment and society have your children. I know it takes a village sometimes to raise your kids, but not the village people. There's a difference.
YMCA. Had to throw that in there.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's just people need to start homeschooling. I don't care what it takes. I don't care. You can still work a 9-to-5 job. Listen, okay, my mom worked 5 days a week, 12-hour shifts. Still came home to cook dinner. Still cleaned the house. Still did my laundry. You know, this is back in the day when women were women. You got people today that just can't hack it. You're letting these public schools and the new cultures raise your children for you because you're too lazy. Saying, oh, I work a full-time job. There's no way. No, BS. You just don't have the tolerance. You need to build that tolerance. You come home from work, and you know, homeschooling, you only need, 2-3 hours out of the day to teach a little 2 + 2, a little bit of ABCD. You don't need a full 8-hour day. And that's kind of what, you know, people are imagining with their thinking. Oh, I don't have full 8 hours to dedicate to my child to homeschool every day. No, it doesn't take that long. You know how bored those kids are in school? They say, oh, ADHD, ADHD. No, it's not ADHD. It's not ADD. The children are bored because you're spoon feeding them information instead of just dumping it on them. They can handle it. I was so bored in school. I only had a semester of high school before I tested out and graduated early. That's how easy the curriculum was. I didn't want to. That was a prison sentence. For me, going to high school, I say another 4 years of school. That's a prison sentence. And of course, it's a prison-like institution to get you institutionalized. Again, it's not. My parents was very happy that I graduated early because they taught me well. My parents were not opposed to picking up a book with me or helping me study my times tables outside of school. People are complaining that about the woke agenda taking on their children, but at the same time, you're not ready to take on the responsibility of actually raising and educating your children yourself. So that's that. I mean, that's what I want people to do. That's what I wish people do. I know I'm going to be homeschooling my children. I know I'm going to teach them everything that I know because that's just the right thing to freaking do. I don't know. I don't know where are we at? Did I get off subject?
No, you didn't get off.
Actually,
Actually, you pretty much stayed right on the topic here. You know, it's like, well, you did kind of wander off a little bit, yeah. NDP MP claimed he was assaulted at a transgender rally, and it turned out to be a complete fraud. Basically, he pulled a Jussie Smollett.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, oh man, stay away from these people. If I hear any kind of conflict like that, I ignore this stuff because you know what you're getting into. If you go to a Antifa rally, be prepared for a riot. If you're gonna if you're black and you're gonna go to a Proud Boy protest, just be prepared to be hit upside the head with a brick. No, stay in your lane. That's what people need to do. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Anyways, go ahead.
Bruceson, take us out.
Alrighty. His support of this is not surprising. I mean, he's I don't even know how far left far radically left the NDP is at this point, but it's certainly not the it's not the Union traditional Democrat-ish party that V might.
Oh yeah, they completely backstabbed the truckers during that convoy.
Well, I mean, not just that, but I mean, just they've been hijacked by Soros and company, I guess is probably the best way to say it politely, which is fine. And Hiroki, you made me reflect a little bit more. I want to try to have a different outlook on this one. And as per our conversation leading up to the recent Alberta election, and how it seems to strikingly be the case of the political NDPs, or the NDP at the provincial level, is taking the marching orders from the NDP at the federal level.
Oh, that's already been confirmed, right?
Okay. All right. Okay. So, do you remember what Rachel Notley was platforming on? One of them, anyway.
It was basically, from what I saw, it was all basically in a smear campaign about Daniel Smith. It wasn't about the actual facts, right? Because if it had been about actual facts, she would have been destroyed.
Well, Notley was also campaigning for this kind of shit that our white version of Smollett was participating at. Rachel was not subtle at all when she basically said, no, we're going to give the kids the right to make their decision. Parents have no say in the matter, and basically we're going to push the whole pedophilia, satanic, transgender thing down your throats, and we'll have 4 years to do it. So thankfully there are enough people that voted against it. But again, Calgary is turning from a blue city, which is conservative here, the red equivalent, into orange. And again, you mix orange and blue together, what do you get? Brown. So Calgary's it's half a shitty city. And Edmonton is so orange it's not funny, but whatever. The fact that he is going there in support, I'm sorry, I have to ask and I have to wonder, what is his real sexual orientation? What really gets this guy off? And don't get me started with the symbolism of Ottawa having 3 things come out of the O, which if you look at it from a certain point of view, looks like 3 sixes. And he's playing victim on that fucking little scratch. Okay, yeah, sure. Had it been up a little bit higher, I'd be a little more sympathetic for him if, he actually had an eye injury. But that, 1 centimeter scratch? Oh, please. Bitch, please. I've had my fucking intestines opened up, reorganized 4 fucking times. Good God.
Not like Mr. Hams, right?
Mr. Who?
Oh, the guy that died from having sex with a horse.
Being on the receiving end. Well, hey, hey, you know, if you're gonna go in style, although that's not the style I would do, but whatever. Like I
Well, you're talking about your insides being rearranged.
Once again, you're the Red Pill Nation. We have no standards at all. Like I'm gonna ask the question. Like, did he slather his ass with fucking mare hormones and drove the stallion just absolutely
Don't
nuts?
ask me about the process. I don't have sex with horses. I don't know. But for the simple fact that he was taking it inside, and he died 3 days later. I think he got worked over pretty good.
You got more than perforated, that's for damn fucking sure. Oh my God.
If there's lube involved, it's probably too much lube, because he got slid
no.
all the way in.
Not enough. Not enough. Oh God.
Oh well, yeah. I guess it could be like trying to put a tube sock on a dry foot.
Either way, the guy's political ideology fits perfectly with this agenda. I don't know him. I never heard of the guy before. Is the guy even married? That's another question I have to ask. Is he actually married? Probably not. Oh, where did I look up that douchebag? Joel what? Harding? Joel Harding. No, he actually is straight. No, who knows? Oh no, that's Dallas County. Never mind. Joel Harding, marital status, MP. No, whatever. Fucking whatever. There are a lot of questions about this guy that I'm mildly curious to know about, but I'm not that fucking motivated. I really am not. He's no doubt a piece of work. No doubt. And whatever. But then again, Jagmeet Singh is an alumni member of the Young Leaders of the World Economic Forum. So that's Soros. But a Rothschild family organization. Oh. Yeah, tempers are going to flare up at some point, and it's going to get violent. It is going to get messy. I don't want to say it. I don't want to verbalize it, but the people that have hijacked the whole gay rights equality thing, and Hiroki has said this before and time again, a few times, is that the people that saw what was going to happen knew what was going to happen. This is where we are. And they're not going to stop. For various reasons. I won't go into that right now. And at some point, someone like me, if my son was ever touched by someone like that MP, I try not to indulge in my admitted stalker side, my personality, and it's there. And I try to keep that beast distracted. And I've told him, if anybody touches you inappropriately, I need to know, and there'll be hell to pay. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll figure something out. The time is coming, things are coming to a boil at some point, and I think, honestly, when it comes down to it, there is more of us than there are of them. But the silent majority hasn't been tapped yet to fight back. And I was kind of mentioning this a little bit earlier today or tonight about Durham and what I am praying to be true will be the disclosure of what's been happening to kids, to children, and that will finally wake people up. I have to bite my tongue. I'm waiting for people to wake up, and it's trying my patience, but such is life. As for this guy, playing the victim, sure, fine, fuck, whatever, go for it. Whatever floats your boat, because you obviously don't have very much there that's going on for you, so whatever. And yeah, of course, Jagmeet Singh isn't going to it won't discipline the guy in any way, shape, or form, because it's going to make him look bad and a little bit stupid. That's just my opinion, but I don't think I'm wrong. So all of this hoopla over that scratch, non-lethal. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I really am not. So I'll just leave it at that for now. So I got nothing more to say, man. I'm done. Boom, 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 boom. I'll give you a free sample of.
There we go. That concludes our. I gotta remember to always unmute. That concludes this particular episode of the Red Pill Nation. As of right now, we are still scheduled for next Wednesday. However, should the schedule change, and more specifically, if I end up doing like 10 or 12-hour shifts at this new site, subjects, times and days subject to change. Although, I mean, I have done the show from camp before, so we'll see what happens. But that is it for tonight. Just remember.
Well, hold on. Will Rifson be giving out more free samples?
Rifson will be handing out free samples of Orange Man Bad Handball. We may be coming out with a Rob Reiner and Stephen King edition, since they cannot seem to stop freaking posting up about Trump 24/7, non-goddamn stop. But we'll see. Maybe we'll come out with a Halloween version